Yeah, thank you, Dr. Raka Chatterjee, for inviting me to join your instruction course. We had two very cool presentations about the more common aspects of hot orbit, namely infections and the inflammations. So I'll deal with something which is a little on the more, the warmer side. Okay, so sometimes orbital malignancies do present as hot orbit, and it is important as a clinician for us to recognize the danger signs so that we do not end up with a disaster on our hands. Now, as I was saying, that orbital diseases may present with orbital inflammation, the malignant tumors, for example, and this is usually when you have a rapidly growing malignant tumor, or you have a secreting type of malignant tumor. And it's important that we are aware of such masquerade presentation so that we can make an early diagnosis. Now, orbital tumors of malignant neoplasms would either be primary, that is tumors arising from the tissues of the orbit, or secondary if they come from an adjacent structure, or metastatic if it comes from a distant source. So let's look at what is known as the commonest primary malignancy of the orbit in children. And this is an 11-year-old girl who's presenting with a rapidly increasing mass in the superomedial orbit with signs of inflammation in the eyelid. There is redness, there is edema as well as prominent blood vessels and chemosis here. And this is the typical presentation for rhabdomyosarcoma, and you do an incision biopsy, confirm the diagnosis, and then the patient is treated by pediatric oncologists. And the survival for the most common form, which is the embryonic rhabdomyosarcoma, is around 80%, which is fairly good. So this is around the child, and slightly later presentation with signs of a hot orbit here again. And the primary tumor again is arising from the superomedial orbit, but that is not always the case. You can have tumors arising from other parts of the orbit as well. Okay, so this was a boy who presented similarly with a short history, about a 2 weeks history, rapidly progressing mass. The eyeball has been pushed down with chemosis, and there is a mass lesion. So there is no difficulty in thinking that this is an orbital cellulitis. And the problem is this is the typical age where you would have rhabdomyosarcoma, and we wanted to do an incision biopsy the very next day. So we sent him for his tests, and this is the buffy layer, okay? And his WBC counts was around 40,000. And these are the large cells that he had. He had acute myeloid leukemia. So that's again one presentation of malignancy pretending to be a orbital inflammation. This is a lady who was on treatment for glaucoma. She presented with a suddenly increasing swelling for a period of a week. She was given oral steroids, which helped her to some extent. But you've seen similar pictures a little while back. Both our colleagues have presented similar. So you see this soft tissue lesion, which is involving the entire intraconal orbit, also spilling over to the extraconal portion here, but the muscles are intact, the optic nerve is intact, but it's completely encompassed by this lesion. And so we stopped this patient's steroids, the swelling came back, and within a week of stopping steroids, we did the biopsy, and this was an aggressive lymphoma. This is a diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. And this patient is alive 3 years later after treatment. So this was a patient, this is from my fellowship days. This was a lesson that we learned. So he worked as a gardener, and he presented with nasal discharge. And this is typically what you would see in a mucormycosis today. Okay, so nasal involvement, orbital involvement, bone destruction. We thought this was aspergillosis. He actually had undergone an ENT biopsy before he was sent to LV Prasad. And they did show fungi, but it was an unusual fungus. And this patient would not respond to antifungals. We went ahead and did orbital biopsies, including deep biopsies, and this came out to be a very unusual diagnosis, an NK T-cell lymphoma. These naturally killer T-cell lymphomas are very aggressive. 2 weeks after presentation, this patient died. because of CNS involvement. This is another gentleman. He's 60 years old, presented with proptosis, a lot of inflammation, a corneal ulcer as well due to exposure. And you see there is a lacrimal gland mass which is crossing the center line here. It seems fairly well circumscribed, but there are areas of calcification within the lesion here. And if you look at this particular scan, you would see that the periosteum is lifted off. So this is actually infiltrating beyond the periosteum into the bone. And clinically, we thought this was an advanced cystic carcinoma, and yes, on this biopsy, this is exactly what showed. And we did a complete lumpectomy in this case. This was an unusual case. This lady was 4 years old. She had sudden onset of pain, swelling, and diminished vision in the left eye. And she was on IVMP therapy when she was referred to us with scans. And this is what her scan showed. So you can see this, multiple cystic lesions with fluid level on MRI, which is very typical of a common orbital vascular malformation, the lymphangioma. And what we did was we did an aspiration from the orbit to reduce the swelling, and we sent that for cytology, and it turned out to be containing malignant cells. So we went in, did an incisional biopsy through an orbitotomy, debulked the mass, sent it for histopath, and it turned out to be angiosarcoma. Okay. So this is another patient present with orbital inflammation with restricted eye movements, chemosis, and pain. On the scans, what you can see is an irregular mass, which is infiltrative. It is involving the medial as well, the superior rectus LPS complex as well as the lateral rectus here, irregular mass. And on histopathology, this turned out to be metastatic adenocarcinoma. It was signet cell carcinoma. So probably arising from the GI tract. This patient was referred to an oncologist and thereafter was lost to follow-up from. So this is a contribution of Dr. Das. Again, another metastatic adenocarcinoma. This time it is renal cell carcinoma. So metastatic tumors usually of a secreting origin, often present as an inflamed orbit. This is a fairly common situation that we see. There's a child who is presenting with orbital cellulitis. What you need to do is lift up the lid, and you would usually find a ophthalmic eye or an eye with a white reflex. And the USG tells you what is the real story. So this is a child with retinoblastoma presenting as a orbital cellulitis. Now these orbital cellulitis are actually not infective origin. They are inflammatory, which is secondary to its sterile, secondary to a necrotic retinoblastoma. Okay, so this is another lady. This patient again had a prominent eye for about 10 weeks. This patient was on IVMP therapy. She had actually received 3 doses of the drug before she reached us. She was referred because she was not responding to the steroid. I hope the scan is visible. It is not. And okay. And this is what a CT scan showed. So she has this irregular swelling in the lateral rectus muscle, and signs of severe inflammation. So we were wondering whether we are dealing again with a case of an aggressive lymphoma. And she underwent a biopsy from the muscle. We debulked the tumor. It was soft and cheesy. And what was shocking is the diagnosis. So this turned out to be a tumor, which at that point in time, I was unaware of. I had to do a lot of reading for that. And it turned out to be an inflammatory myofibroblastic tumor. This was a more aggressive myofibroblastic tumor. So these on histopath, they seem to look like a non-specific orbital inflammation, but on immunohistochemistry, they look for a specific marker, which is the ALK. This patient was ALK positive in the cytoplasm. And what we came to know about this disease is that it's a locally aggressive tumor, usually occurs in the subperiosteal, in the retroperitoneal space, or sometimes in the thorax, rarely reported in the orbit. So we'd seen this patient in 2015. At that time, there were only 4 case reports of this disease. And this patient, after the debulking, was given steroids because this is supposed to be a steroid responsive tumor. The swelling actually increased after about a month and a half, and that is the time when we went ahead and did an orbital exentration for her. So few tumors, I'm sorry, but that's how it is always. It's mostly inflammations, which are infections or of idiopathic origin or specific inflammations. Tumors are less likely, but you still need to be aware of them. And what you need to have is a high index of suspicion and get imaging done for all patients who present with orbital inflammation, because you never know what might turn up from there. Even for something like, say, idiopathic orbital inflammation or for infections, you need the scans to decide your line of management. So here too, for every patient with orbital inflammation, get a CT scan done. And have a low threshold for incision biopsy. Joyita showed so beautifully various kinds of orbital inflammation, which were non-infective in origin. And this term idiopathic orbital inflammation simply means that we don't know what is going on. Okay, histopathology is what has shown that a lot of these idiopathic diseases are actually specific orbital inflammation. Without a histopath, you would not get that information. Similarly, IgG4 disease, we didn't even know about it about 8 years back. IgG4 seems to be the one of the major causes of what we used to think as idiopathic inflammation. So the more you biopsy, the more new conditions will be diagnosed, and this entity of non-specific orbital inflammation will actually shrink with time. So that is all I have for you. Thank you very much.